All right, 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Failure Friday, where we talk to friends, families, colleagues, Instagram friends, Facebook friends, and sometimes complete strangers about how failure has shaped them professionally, personally, and driven them forward. It's something that I think it's so important we talk about today. Not enough of us talk about it. All we highlight is the positive and the great things going on, which is good too. But failure, especially as an entrepreneur, is what drives the engine forward. Today we have Ms. Lisa Maltese. Lisa, thank you so much for coming.
Great, thanks for having me.
I'm gonna give you a brief intro, but I'm gonna let you really dive into it. Lisa is a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur. Lisa founded Trendy Dog Mom, a trendy but practical dog walking bag designed with every dog mom in mind. And Pink Julep Boutique, a boutique that offers a wide variety of products with the goal of sourcing domestically first. Lisa, where are you from?
So I was actually born in Pennsylvania, and I moved with my family when I was 13 to the Tampa Bay area. And then in 2007, I moved to Louisville, Kentucky area, Prospect, Kentucky, and I lived there for 14 years. And so we just finally navigated back to our home in Newport Richey, Florida. And here we are. Our son is still in Louisville. He's in his second year of medical school, and I still own my business up there. So we do still have some ties. And here we are.
Oh, wow. I did not realize that you came back to. So I'm
Yes.
from Seminole, Florida, and then migrated in high school because I was such a bad kid to East Lake, which is right next to Newport Richey. But I didn't realize
Yes.
you were back there.
Yes, yes. Well, our daughter had just graduated high school in this past May, and so she goes to University of South Florida in Tampa. So that was kind of our driving force that, okay, we're ready to come home. And so here we are. And unfortunately, our son is, I say unfortunately, because I don't know if you follow the weather in Kentucky. Today is cloudy, cold, and dreary. So, but
Yeah, I was about to say, just like, screw your son, leave him in Kentucky.
I
You
know,
came to
right?
Florida.
Exactly. Oh, and you know what? You so much appreciate the weather that much more. You know, when you're 13, 14, 15, Pennsylvania to Florida, your head's not there. But when you're an adult and you're up there for 14 years and then you come back here, I mean, I haven't experienced February in like 14 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, every day. So it's amazing and happy to be back.
What's it like running a business that far away? How are you doing that?
So, luckily, the most important part is my team. So we have been working with this, knowing that I was going to relocate back in June is when I left. And so, I was kind of setting up my store and making sure that we had all the right people in place. And, first and foremost is my team. I mean, they're amazing. As far as ordering goes, we have Zoom. And so I meet with a lot of my sales reps, via Zoom, or since I carry so many staple items, I already know like what I need. I'll look at my inventory, or like even tonight, I had a 17-year-old girl who is working at 3 to 6. And so I popped on the phone and I was like, hey, walk around, tell me what you think. Do we have a lot of this? What stands out to you? And so, it's just like a combination of a lot of different ways on how I keep it going.
So that's interesting because I'm at a stage in my business where I'm really taking a hard look at structure, organizational structure, which if there's people listening that either have an existing business or they're thinking about it, that's such an important piece to scalability. But it's,
For sure.
as a small business owner, it's terrifying because a lot of people wait until they can afford employees, but larger businesses will tell you that you should look at how much money you have to make to be able to afford the structure that you need in place and work backwards. What are your thoughts? What advice would you give someone about hiring and structuring their business for the first time?
So I grew into it. And so my whole business was what a lot of entrepreneurs I have heard, it wasn't supposed to happen. So it was never really like I sought out, like I took out a loan for, let's say, $100,000 and said, okay, I have $100,000. I'm going to buy inventory. I'm going to do a schedule and figure out how much money is everybody going to make, so on and so forth, to run a business. I kind of started with a one-man band in an area that is not even what I am today, and I evolved into it. So my story is just a little bit different per se. I don't know if that really answered your question, but
no, but I think your story starts out like a lot of us do. We have something we're passionate about or that we're good at, or maybe neither of those. Maybe it's just something you know how to do to make money, and you just kind of go with the flow until you max out, and then you got to pivot.
Right. That's exactly right, Kendall. I couldn't have said that any better. That's exactly right. And pivot is such a monumental thing that you have to know how to do when you're in a small business, especially because your funds are limited. Your employees are limited depending upon, just what's going on at that point. And so whenever you come across big obstacles, you have to learn how to pivot. And like 2020, right? That was a very big obstacle for a lot of small businesses. And I pivoted, and if I would have stayed, so originally, before we knew that we had to wear face masks, I knew my store was shut down the end of March in Kentucky, and I did not have any more walk-in business, and Easter was right around the corner. So for me to pivot at that point, I actually got creative, and I got an Easter bunny costume. And my husband at the time had a 1969 red convertible Corvette. And so
Wait, time out. You said husband at the time, so I'm like, have a whole new husband?
I'm sorry.
That wasn't that long ago.
At the time. And I'm drinking tea. No. So what I meant to say was, at the time, my husband had a convertible Corvette, a red one. Okay, does that sound better?
Way better. Sorry, Danny.
I mean, listen, I've been married for 30 years. Okay, I think that people who know me, almost 30 in November, but for strangers, yes, I still have the same husband. He just has a different car, and so I got creative with the pandemic because I knew that if I didn't pivot, I was going to be in trouble, and so I tried quickly to pivot, and so we used the Corvette, and we used an Easter bunny costume, and we used social media, and we were able to put together like goodie bags for kids, and so the Easter bunny would deliver it. And so that was like my first pivot to get me through the first month of the pandemic. And then the next pivot came when Easter was over, and then we had to all wear face masks. And so face masks actually kept me in business because it was before the Walmarts, the Kmarts, the Targets, before they could get to their manufacturers overseas and be able to produce a product to sell for the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
It was the small businesses in the United States that came together. And a lot of people don't realize that. But so like, for instance, I was one of the very first businesses in, definitely my county, probably the surrounding counties as well, to get the face mask. And what had happened at that time was all of these smaller businesses who made clothing, boutique clothing, they turned off their sewing machines for the boutique clothing, and they just jumped right on the face mask bandwagon. And so, I mean, and it was a little scary at first because I was like, gosh, I mean, am I really going to get these? And so I started pre-selling them. And so, because I needed to come up with the funds to be able to buy them, and everybody in the community was cool with that and they understood. And so I pre-sold them to them, and then I took those funds and then invested them in face masks. And during the whole pandemic, our number came in at approximately 15,000 face masks we sold.
Oh my God.
I know. Can you believe that? And so that is what really, that was like a huge pivot for me, to be able to have access to that product and to be able to figure out a way to get it implemented. Not to mention my store was shut down. And so then I had like this gigantic bulletin board. And so we had them thumbtacked to that. And we had a big easel outside of our store. And so people driving down the road, they would see them and stop, and, people could come and look at them. And, we had our display masks, and then we would run in the store and get them and stick them in their bag. And we had our phones where we would, ring them up, or they'd give us a card, and we'd run in the store and, cash them out, and off they'd go. But then they also discovered us as well, because, we are, Pink Julep Boutique is going on its 5th year right now. And so at that time, we were fairly new, and we did not start out as a gift boutique. And actually the pandemic money, the mask money, put me over the edge to get me into where I am today, which is a 2,400 square foot gift boutique. And so you're probably wondering, well, what were you?
Yeah.
I was actually an internet shoe business. And so that was a whole nother thing that was never supposed to happen.
This is before the pandemic.
Yes. That was probably 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Wow.
Is when I started dabbling in shoes. And like I said, it was just another thing. So being an entrepreneur, I always tell people that I feel like you're born an entrepreneur, and you go to school to sharpen your skills to be a better entrepreneur. And the reason why I say that is because when I was 10 years old, my mother, to this day, we laugh about this, but she wasn't laughing about it back then. My sister and I, we went to a Catholic school. And so the school started at 8:00 in the morning, and my mom would drop us off my sister and I at 7:30 a.m. And she would drop me off, and my sister was 3 years younger, and we were always the first kids in the playground. And the reason is because my mom had to be at work, and her job started at 8, so she had no choice. So if it wasn't Lent, I was in the playground. However, during Lent, I actually attended the 7:30 a.m. Mass. And then the nuns decided that we would also give up our recess during Lent. So I used to go to church twice a day during Lent. But anyway.
Good old Catholic school.
I know, right? I mean, right? Give up, they just decided for Lent we were going to give that up. And we didn't have a choice. But anyway, so my mom would drop us off, and my mom would say, now take your sister in the playground and stay in the playground. Okay, Mom. So I would watch, and I'd watch her car, and it would go up the hill. And as soon as I saw the headlights disappear and go over the hill, I was like, okay, now's my time. And so I'd tell my sister, stay right here. I'll be right back.
Now's my time.
And so across the street, across the street from the playground was a gas station. And so like a pantry quick, like a 7-Eleven. And so I would run over there, and I would have some money in my pocket, and I would buy a bag of Twizzlers. And so for any of my friends from elementary school, if you're listening to this, you're going to be like, yeah, I remember that. And so I would buy a bag of Twizzlers and run back into the playground, and I would sell them all, and I would double my money. And so I knew about this concept before I even learned about supply and demand and all of that. I mean, I just really enjoyed just the transaction of it. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to make this much money and I'm going to go buy that. No, you're going to go and you're going to invest your money and buy more products.
Is this what, the 80s? You're lucky it wasn't crack.
Yeah, it was the 80s. Yeah, I know, right? Good thing I was, back in the day. Yeah, but then I recognized, my customers have money that they want to spend, all my friends in the playground. So then I started expanding and I was selling stickers, scratch and sniffs. Remember those? I would
Yes.
have my mother drive me to the mall and I would be buying, and I was like buying things like I wasn't even getting
Your mom
wholesale.
didn't, when did your mom realize that she was purchasing inventory for you?
Back when I was 10, when I was doing it, she knew what, she was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. I was buying ceramic pins, ceramic pieces. They were ceramic hearts, and I would glue a pin on the back. And I would go to school and I would tell the girls in the class, for Valentine's Day, I'm making heart pins and, I'll put your name on it. And they're like, okay. And so, then every Valentine's Day, everybody would have a ceramic heart pin with their name on it. And,
But like, what
so
money are they spending? Is it like their lunch money? We're all like those elementary schoolgirls losing weight? Like,
I, it wasn't the lunch money. I don't know where they were getting the money, but I was like, I was like on it. I was always out there, looking for another product. And, and I liked it. I really, really, when I was a little girl, I used to always feel like, I used to always think, wow, I wish one day I could have a store and, that would be really cool. And, so on and so forth. And so that did not happen until, a little bit later, because I used to actually, I went to school to be a respiratory therapist. And so I did that for 10 years. And
oh wow.
then
Oh, you
when
tried it.
I did. I tried it, and actually, I did it because it was great money. It was great money, and I was working in the hospital setting, and I was working with all these respiratory therapists. I was the secretary, and they all used to always encourage me, and show me their paycheck, and you should be a therapist. You should be a therapist, and I was like, okay, what the heck? And they ended up sending me to school for it. One day I went into work, and they were like, we need you to call that respiratory therapy school down in St. Pete. Okay, all right, okay. Why am I calling? You're going to call and you're going to find out when did they start class. Okay, all right. Why am I doing that? Because you're going to go and I'm going to go. Well, I have to work. I have car insurance and stuff. I got bills. And they're like, yeah, you're going to work. I am. Yeah, you're going to go to school during the day and then you're going to come here at night and you're going to work, 4 to 8 to get your
Wow.
hours if that's good enough. And that's what you're going to do. And I'm like, all right, let's go.
So it was a
So I
free
did it.
education. So I mean, at that point,
Basically, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a free education. Yep. Yep, for sure. And then I had a sure job. I mean, I was working as a student therapist long before even my, fellow classmates even had a job.
so then,
So,
I mean, the podcast is about failure. What was your first failure? What was the failure that shaped the next step in growth for you?
so that would be my first business in the real world besides my candy stuff when I was 10.
That went great.
It did. That went great. We can't call that a failure. Now, the first failure that I would say would be I created a shoe business, and it was an online shoe business, and that was the accident. But it was a good accident. I actually went to a Zappos outlet, okay, where all of the returns in the whole entire country would go into this one location. And
Oh,
so you can imagine how many pairs of shoes. So I had friends who were like, oh, you need to go, this and that. And so I went. And when I walked in for the first time, though, honestly, I had my entrepreneur eyes on. I was not like every other girl. And I wasn't like, oh, where's my size? And, what did they have? And I was really not interested in that. I was like, are you kidding me? I could buy a pair of Nine West for $10 and sell them for like 50 or 60 bucks. Like, really? And so I invested $400. And so with that $400, I continued to roll my money. And after some contracts with Macy's and Bloomingdale's, and then with
oh
me going
wow.
to show shoes and getting direct relations with actual vendors and buying wholesale by the cases. I ended up with 5,000 pairs of shoes in like probably 6 years from my $400 investment and just like rolling money. And
Where did you
so,
keep these shoes?
oh Lord. So it was like it was like a transition. Okay. So when I first got started, it was at my house. And so it was okay. I started filling up my basement area, which it was a finished basement. In Kentucky, it's, it has sheetrock and carpet and leather couches, and, so on and so forth. It's not like a basement like up north that you would think of with cobwebs and stuff. So I filled my basement, and so I was kind of like having fun. And well, first it started in a closet. Then the closet started overflowing. I had a cedar closet that was pretty big. Then it was in my basement. Then one day my husband came home after I got this huge delivery of like 350 pairs of shoes.
Danny
And
probably
now
was
they were
like,
on
what the fuck?
they were on
was
my
that?
second floor level. And he was like, okay. He was like, I think that you need to get a storage unit. And I'm like, yeah, and I think I need an office too. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I need an office. I'm like shipping out all this stuff and, so on and so forth. So I moved my stuff into one storage unit, and then I rented one room from a farmhouse. They rented out the room. So I had one room in the farmhouse and one storage unit. And so then I came across my very first employee, who was my friend's sister. And my friend was like, hey, my sister will come and help you. And I was like, okay. And so she just showed up, and I taught her how to do eBay. We were doing eBay at the time. And we were just, shooting pictures with Canon and so on and so forth. And so then, and then it just progressed. Then it progressed the sales platforms. Then it was eBay. Then we added on Amazon, then Sears, then Walmart wanted us. And we were on all these different platforms. And the storage units went from 1 to 5. And then I ended up moving them from the storage units on site, because then my landlord had an unfinished area that he agreed to lease me via like warehouse, like $2.50 a square foot. And so I was like, okay, so everything was great and dandy and this and that. And then one day my landlord came to me, and he's like, whenever they come with the manila folder, it's never a good sign.
Never.
And I was like an awesome tenant, but for financial reasons, and I could understand. He was like, hey, the dentist next door, she wants to expand her business, her practice, and you're in the spot that we would expand. So you have 30 days. And I was like, you're kidding me. I have 5,000 pairs of shoes, and you are giving me 30 days to find another home. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, all righty. So we made the best of the situation. And so we found an old decrepit strip center, and we just got the shoes there. Now, can you imagine what it's like to move 5,000 pairs of shoes?
No. That's what my next question was. How the hell did you and some other chick move that many pairs of shoes?
Oh my gosh. Well, actually at that time we had teenager employees. So there was probably about 8 of us on staff. Well, and here's the kicker. It was 1 mile down the road. And it's like, you're kidding me. We have to move 5,000 pairs of shoes 1 mile down the road. We got a U-Haul. And so we got a U-Haul truck, and we pulled it up to the facility that we were in. And we had the ramp, and we just started taking everything out. And luckily we had an inventory system. So everything was scanned. And so we tried to keep, all the sizes together as best we could. And so then we got them into our next location. And then to house 5,000 pairs of shoes, you have to have like shelves, and it was just like a whole thing. We had to hire like carpenters to come in, put carpet down, because I thought, well, hey, even though we're in this decrepit place, we are zoned for retail. So, maybe we could, sell a couple here and there,
Have
even though the meat and the potatoes was, online, whatever, if somebody came across us. So that's why we put some carpet in there. And we were in there for probably a year and a half. And it was a year and a half because I had to sign a year lease, and I really was not happy with the area at all because it wasn't even on the main road, and it had potholes in the parking lot, and it wasn't
how you wanted to present yourself.
It was not. And so then there was something shiny in front of me. There was a brand new building. And so the people up there would shout across the fence, "Hey, you should come up here with us," and all this. And I was just like, I don't know. And it was an unfinished space. And so I was like, I can't afford that. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really know, like, what the deal was going up there, but it looked pretty expensive. But then fortunately I met with the landlord, and he was like, yeah, I'll give you a budget. You can pick everything and we'll build it out and all of this. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we did it. So then we were stuck moving 5,000 pairs of shoes again, not a mile down the road, but just across the parking lot. And so we moved in there, and that would be my failure.
That's the failure. Okay, the transition.
The transition from going, taking an online business and then putting it in a brand new building with, double rent, right? Because it was a lot nicer. Everything was brand new. And then thinking, not knowing, even my husband was drinking this Kool-Aid, okay? He was thinking, yeah, that's a plan. That, like, all we had to do was put a sign up that said, women's shoes, and, put a sign up, and it would, and the other mistake would have to be the name. The name, I'll tell you the name in a minute. But so we thought just putting some stuff out there, a sign, everybody in the town is going to come because who doesn't love women's shoes and all of this? Well, it didn't happen. And, my store today, it's in the same location. It's just a gift boutique. But with the shoes, you can't really put an online shoe store with miscellaneous sizes. Okay. And, it was just like broken size runs that I was getting, great deals on from like Macy's and Bloomingdale's, and then, putting in a couple cases of this and that, of full size runs. It was just like a mishmash. And it worked for online because like nobody saw, you know what I mean? Like nobody would see that you had all these broken cases.
Well, there's not the added cost of a brick and mortar location.
Well, yeah. And then I had that added expenses. And I was expecting the whole town to run in, and that didn't happen. And then the name was absolutely terrible. So if I could tell a business, and I'm probably the only one in the world that would do something like this, but please take more than 5 minutes to decide a name for anything, a username, because
anything. Your dog, your child.
It was so originally when I started my whole entire venture, I told you I was on eBay. Well, I hijacked my husband's eBay account. And so I was just like, I'm just going to use his stuff because I was too lazy to get my own account. And so I hijacked his and I used his name. And so his name was, which I hated, it was Dander22. And it just sounds dirty to me, cat dander.
Like dander.
But the reason why he picked Dander was because his name is Dan, our son's name is Alexander. So it was like a combination, Dander, and then 22.
That makes it cute.
Sports name. It makes it cute, but like, if somebody doesn't know that and I'm selling shoes, they're sold by Dander, I didn't think that sounded too good. So I gave it all of 5 minutes and I was like, okay, I need a name for this online eBay store. Okay, Shoelicious or Shoezilla, or, just coming up with all these random names. Oh, that's taken. Okay. Well, what am I selling? Shoes. Okay, feet. What rhymes with feet? Treat. The feet treat. Okay, that's it. So then I do the feet treat. So then that name stuck with me forever, because then it went from my eBay store and then it transitioned over to Amazon. Then it was turned into an LLC. And now this is the name on the side of the road, the feet treat. And I don't know, I just never really liked it. What's that?
I think it's cute.
You do? I don't know.
Yeah.
I had like that. I was just like, I don't know. I just always had like I don't know, like I guess I wouldn't call it a phobia, but just like, it was just like, ugh. I
I'm
don't know.
thinking of like
I didn't,
retreat. It's giving retreat, but like feet treat.
yeah, maybe it was just the feet in there. I don't know. I just was not loving it. But the failure was really putting 5,000 pairs of shoes in a place where I didn't have a lot of foot traffic coming in. And I mean, thank goodness that I had my online stuff coming, but I wasn't getting the local traffic that I wanted. And it just wasn't a good idea. It was not a good
But
idea
at
to do
what
that.
point do you pivot though? At what point were you like, okay, this isn't working. We have to change. How long were you in the
Well,
red?
oh, I was not in the red very long. And I don't really know that I was really ever a lot in the red, really in the red. Um, I just wasn't getting what I wanted. Do you know what I mean? Like the failure part was not having the local community come in and engage and all of that. And so when I decided that this is not working, because I wanted to stop the online, I wanted to stop it because if anybody has ever sold on Amazon, it's it's good, but it's not good because it's kind of like they are ultimately in control of your product and what is going on. And I could have somebody send me. One time, I had somebody send me back a toilet seat. Okay, I'm not kidding you. It was new, but they bought a pair of like $100 boots from me, and they wrote that they were going to return it. And they send back a toilet seat that they bought from another seller, and like I'm supposed to be okay with that. And so that's why I wasn't coming offline because the sales weren't there and so on and so forth. I couldn't handle not being in control of my stuff. And so I was like, I have just got to part with this Amazon and eBay and all this online because there's so many scammers, unfortunately. And I was over it. And so that's when I really wanted to make it work with the community. So it wasn't working because I was like, what am I going to do? I really need to get out of this arena and I really want to be in this arena, but this is not fitting and it's not working. So what I started doing was I started listening. That was it. I started listening to people who were coming in. And so when they came in, if I would basically interview them and I would be like, so what are you looking for? And, well, what would you like the store to be? And what kind of products? And, so on and so forth. And that is
Feedback.
when I started evolving it. And that was tricky because I had to start shutting this down here, but yet grow this here. And so it had to go like this, like it had to work. You know what I mean? Because if I started like just clearancing out all of the shoes, all of my inventory, and then if I didn't have enough money for that to get, the products that I needed in there, you know, so that was that.
Well, that was my next question. So, is that how you got rid of the inventory of all the shoes? Right, you're not just going to give them away. You clearance them, and then that
I
cash flow
clearance.
the purchase of the new product.
Yes. So the whole evolution, I call it, it took quite a long time. It probably took me at least a year to get to fill 24. And that was another thing too, Kendall, was another mishap on my part was that I rented 2,400 square feet
Oh my
of a
goodness, that's a
store.
lot.
Exactly. I mean, like that's like a house. Okay. And
Yeah.
so it's like, so if I were
I
going
can't even imagine
to,
that because my office is 900 square feet.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
That's
huge.
huge.
Okay. It's huge. And so can you imagine the amount of money it takes to fill that space with retail? You know what I mean?
Well, not even
So
just
it was
that. You
like,
got other costs. You got your electricity. You got
yep,
your plumbing, water, sewage. I mean,
yep,
and commercial is
exactly.
more expensive than residential. I mean, for those
Yes.
of you who don't realize, that's a whole different ball game as far as cost.
Exactly. And if I were going to go into it saying, okay, I'm going to open up a gift boutique, no one goes and rents 2,400 square feet to open up a gift boutique. I mean,
It's like a
that is
dealership.
just like that. That's just like enormous, you know? I mean, you know, so like that was kind of like, geez, you know, this store is like pretty big. How am I going to do this? So I had to make sure that I liquidated my inventory wisely to be able to maximize my profits, to be able to fill up that space with a lot of good stuff, you know? And it was tricky. It wasn't like, okay, $10 for everything and, you know, come and get it and whatever I have left, whatever. Because at no point did I ever want to go and take a huge loan to make it happen. Because I didn't want to be in debt. You know what I mean? For that.
I mean, that's impressive alone that you didn't take on debt. I have to say. The Dave Ramsey part of my brain is really proud of that, because I mean, even me at this point in my growth, I'm like, well, damn, I really need to hire like 6 people. Does my books don't say I'm going to be profitable after I hire 6 people at today's salary rates, but maybe that's just what I have to do to facilitate a structure that's going to maximize and scale growth. But for you to be able to not even have to have that conversation with yourself is impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, you know, I did do some capital loans here and there, but, you know, I mean, I paid them off along the way, but like, you know, there was no massive, you know, debts that were taken out for my business. But there was something that, you know, did like the growth part. It was a slow growth. Okay. And so that's the difference. If, you know, if you have all the capital up front and you do hire 6 people for your business and so on and so forth, you're going to excel my speed by a ton. I mean, look what we're talking. I mean, you know, this whole thing with $400 took me 11 years practically. And so, you
Still
know,
really impressive. I mean, not even just, but you did it across multiple businesses.
I did. I mean, it's just crazy how I just kept flipping things and turning them into whatever I needed or wanted at that time. I just kind of, you know, tried to think about the future. Where do I want to be? And what do I have to do to get there? And pivot along the way and, you know, try to make the best decisions as possible. I mean, you know, you're always going to have obstacles, but yeah, it was like quite a journey. And so the very end of the shoes so like what I would do is, so like I negotiated with my landlord to pay for half of my shoe racks, because shoe racks are expensive. I mean, like I think we spent like $7,000 just on shoe racks to move into that place. And so my landlord agreed. He's such a great guy. He agreed to pay for half of them. And then for the half that I had to pay for, he said, I'll tell you what, I'll take $200 a month out of, you know, add that on to your rent. And then until it's paid off, interest free. And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Jeez.
And so then I was like, okay, this is not working with the shoes, and we got to, you know, evolve and be what the community wants us to be to get this to work. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's like, you know, what is the demand in your area? And for me, it was not miscellaneous shoes. And I wanted to get out of that other business and thought that maybe it might work, but it did not. So what I would do is we would sell the heck out of our shoes online. And we did sell some, you know, with foot traffic coming in, pardon the pun, I guess, right? That was non-intentional.
Oh, that would have been a good name. Foot traffic.
Oh yeah, right. Exactly. That would have been good. But so what we would do is we would sell, and then we would not fill up a rack. Like we would then start consolidating, and like say for every rack we got rid of, I would go on Facebook Marketplace and I would buy like a cute kitchen table. And then we would bring it in and we would paint the bottom of it or paint the top of it or whatever. And we always painted everything pink. Okay. And so then I started buying old time hutches, like, you know, like wooden ones from like the 80s, probably maybe the 90s. And we would bring them in and cotton candy pink. And so all these cute, super cute hutches. And so the store, I turned it into a very eclectic with the decor. I think that probably 90% of pink julep is marketplace on steroids. That's what I call pink julep.
I love that though. And you're
Yeah.
doing more than painting it, right? Like you're switching up oh my God, what's the word for it? Are you literally just painting these things, or are you adding new knobs and stuff and making it?
Oh yeah. Making it like, going to Home Goods and getting the crystal knobs and putting the crystal knobs on them. And those were our displays. And so we just so for every single shoe rack, and then I went on Marketplace when it got to the point where half of the store was fixtures. I didn't even want to see the shoes anymore. And I was like, okay, we're done with the shoes locally now, because now what we did is, and this is a big mistake, we went in as a shoe store. We changed the sign up above to Pink Julep Boutique. However, you only have one chance to make your first impression, especially with consumers. Mm-hmm. And even though the sign was changed, there wasn't really too much more change that you could see from the outside. And everybody just thought we were shoes. I mean, it took years to shake that. And I mean,
but how do you change that? Is that a marketing play? Is that something?
Well, it's just something that just has to happen naturally, I think. I mean, you can market it and market it and market it, and it's just word of mouth. I mean, people always say word of mouth is the best, advertising, and it is. I mean, and it's just word of mouth. And but I used to get so frustrated because, we would be pink julep for like 6 months, and we're not even offering you guys shoes anymore. And we have all these super cool things, and you're coming in looking for shoes.
Now you want shoes. Now you want shoes.
And so, it was just kind of like, in business, like it's so, that first impression. I mean, like there were so many things that I did not realize that seemed so, it just seems like, well, yes, everybody's going to know you're there because you're going to put a big sign up and it's going to light up and they're going to know what that is and they're going to come. It does not happen like that. And
no.
I mean,
especially in a small town.
Oh, I know. But like, I'm like the kind of person who in our small town up there, if I went away for a week on vacation, I'm coming back and I'm like looking like, oh, did anything new go in?
What's changed?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like looking for a new restaurant to pop up, something, anything, a store, shopping, anything. And so when that did not happen, it was just like, I just can't believe it. And still to this day, I mean, we've been there for 6 years and people still come in today and say, I had no idea you're here. And so like the joke is like, well, did you drive by 10,000 times yet? Because like, then you get like, I've driven by, so many times, and I just realized, and it's like, well, was it 10,000? Because some people come in and they give us numbers even. That's even more painful.
Yeah, you've driven by that many times and you didn't know we were here.
Exactly.
How could your experience with this, and let me bring that back. Uh-huh. As an entrepreneur, I think that people like us tend to not think of an exit plan. You're at a stage in your life where your kids are older. Your son's in Kentucky, but there's no saying where he's going to go after. Do you have an exit plan for your businesses?
Not really.
That's a really important step people skip over.
I know. And so I do not have an exit plan. And I mean, it's really one of two things, right? It's sell it or liquidate. I mean, that's really it. It would be better for me to try to sell it, because I feel like then all of my hard work is in there. It's a turnkey. It's better for the community because no entrepreneur likes to see what they created just like, lights out.
Go to nothing.
You want to see it go. And so that would be my ideal scenario, would be that, to sell it. For sure.
And for people that are listening, when she says sell a business, there's different parts to a business that are sellable. So she could sell, she doesn't own the building, right? So she can't sell the physical location, but she has a brand and she has inventory. And that's something that you can sell together, or separately.
And a website.
And a website.
Mm-hmm.
And a website.
And
so that's something when you're building. Oh, and social media. I don't know if that would be lumped into branding though. You'd probably have to sell the handles with the branding.
Yeah, the
I imagine.
followers.
But for people that are building their business, it's important to look at your business as a whole pie, but you also have to look at the individual slices and always think when you're building a business that first think about the end, which is hard to think about when you're first starting, but think about the end and think about it in sections, because when you do go to sell, there's no scenario, no business owner is going to say, oh, I'm just going to close my doors and, just take the sign. No, your goal, most business owners don't save enough for retirement because they believe in their heart of hearts that their business is their retirement plan. So you have to go into this project looking at the business as pieces of an asset that you can sell separately. And when I have people come into my office, and a lot of them are business owners that have been doing this a really long time, and now they're kind of in over their head, and they're like, okay, well, what do I do with all of this? The hardest part is, especially with businesses like a hair salon, for example, inventory depreciates. It's really hard. It's like when you buy a couch and you go to sell it on Facebook Marketplace. You paid $3,000 for the couch. How much do you think you're going to sell it to Lisa on Facebook Marketplace? That's your inventory of your business. So it's so important to focus on the brand aspect. If you own the real estate, that's crucial. I would encourage everyone to try to get to a place in your entrepreneurial journey where you can own real estate, commercial real estate, because that makes it so much more attractive when you go to sell your business if you want to sell a turnkey location. I mean, that's not your problem, because you have a whole nother business. It doesn't have a location,
I do.
Right? We haven't even talked about Trendy Dog Mom.
Right. And that is, so Trendy Dog Mom was born basically, so what did I learn from my business and my failures and everything else was I took all that knowledge and built a brand now, because everything that I learned on the retail side of it, now I'm putting that into my wholesale side of it, and I work with, now businesses carry my product. And so it's, I already know what consumers like. I mean, pink julep, as soon as a vendor would walk in, I'd be like, if like they started showing me cute stuff, I'm like, do you have that in dog? And, I mean, people love their pets. And then to be fair, then the cat people would be getting on me, because it's like, why do you have all this dog stuff? Where's the cat stuff? And so, but my brand is, towards dogs. But so I took everything that I learned, contacts, consumers, things that the consumers are looking for. I love the Shark Tank. I'm always, that is like one of my favorite shows. And, they're always saying a solution, people like solutions. And so all of these years that I have been an entrepreneur, I've always dreamed of also creating a product and being able to experience that side of business as well as a wholesaler. And how cool would that be? I used to think. And so I did it. And it was kind of like, when you're younger and you want a boyfriend and, you're looking here and there and under rocks and, everybody would tell you, right? It's not going to happen like that. It's going to happen when you're not looking, right? Didn't we all hear that? Well, that's exactly what happened with my new brand. And so, so how it went down was, so I told you I relocated back here to Florida in June. And I have 2 Jack Russells, and they're brothers, super cute. You would see them. You'll see them if you look me up on Trendy Dog Mom on Instagram. Like there's probably 90% reels of my dogs that I make.
Don't you wish you could pay your animals like you could pay your kids?
Oh yeah, I know, right? My husband's like, those poor boys. I'm like with the camera
slave
following
labor
them all the time, and yeah, I know, laying on the ground, getting the best shots. You should see me. But anyway, so they love to walk, okay? And when I was in Kentucky, we never walked them, okay? I mean, not only that, Kendall, they need to be like a farmer's diet, like before and after. If you would see, if you saw the pictures of my dogs before, oh my gosh, they were so overweight and so unhealthy. And so when we moved here, I was like, I'm going to walk them and, I'm going to commit to this. So I'm in Florida and it's like the end of June and it is like super hot out. And these dogs, they want to go for like 3 miles. And so 3 miles and their legs are like this big, they're shorties. And so I'm like, okay, we'll do it. And so I would come out into the kitchen and I'm like, okay, what do I need? It was like I'm going on a trip. Okay. It's
Packing
like
with kids going to the beach.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, I need a water bottle. I need water. I need my phone. I need my AirPod case. All these different elements that I need. And I need a bag, right, to carry all this stuff. And I need my doggy waste bags too, of course. And so I'm like, I just need a bag. And so I went in my room and I came out with this black faux leather bag, and it's a crossbody messenger bag. And so it was black faux leather, but I liked the feel of it and I liked how everything fit in it just right. My AirPods and my phone in the outer pocket. And so I'm like, okay, I think this could work. So I pack it up, and the strap coming across is green and red and had bees going. It's the Gucci bee strap. So I have my yoga pants on and a t-shirt, and here I am boogieing around the neighborhood in this Gucci bee faux leather bag. And I'm like, I like the size of it. I like the compartments in it. I just think it needs to be dogified. And so my best ideas come when I'm on caffeine and exercising. I don't know why, but I could like solve world peace with a cup of coffee and a walk.
I
okay?
concur.
And so, so then that's when I started thinking about, what do I want, this bag to look like? And so I came home, sketched it, and then got with my contacts that I made in the boutique world from my business. And I came up with, my new bags. And I actually have one right here. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, let me see it.
So this is it.
Oh,
so
that's a kitty one.
Cute. So
that's a doggy one? Is that a cat?
Yes. This is a Chihuahua. It's called Chihuahua, this bag. And it's actually made of neoprene. Okay. So it cleans up well, and it has our logo, and the collapsible bowl is right here. And then on the inside, I designed it to have like a water strap because my water bottle kept falling over. And I was like, this is annoying. So I put the little strap in, and then there's like a little treat pouch in here, right? It's cleanable. But the best part, this is like the ooh moment, when you turn it around. Ooh. So it has like the little hidden dispenser bags.
So what? Okay, so let's go to ordering these. How many did you have to buy for your first order? Because you can't just buy 5.
I know. So 100. So I was able to get a factory. No. So I got a factory to agree to 100 per pattern. And
per pattern.
One pattern, 100 for one pattern.
How many patterns did you have?
I started my line with 600
Okay,
bags.
so 600. I could just imagine Danny's face. He's like, not this again.
Here we go again. Yes, pretty much. That's about how.
Oh, no.
Yes. So 600 bags. And, I did one prototype. And the prototype, we nailed it. Except with the exception of the bag, the poopy bag thing. This is like a pocket. And so originally I had it all the way up here. I don't know what I was thinking, but it was terrible. And so then we didn't even do a second prototype. I just measured it and then drew it on paper again and sent it over to the factory. And then they were like, okay, yeah, we could do this. And so we were like, okay, let's go. And actually, I think this is a good number. I mean, you tell me, within the first 30 days, I sold 25% of the inventory wholesale.
That's a great, and that's with no marketing.
Me, myself, and I probably put like 10 hours into it, if even, of marketing.
So did you just have it at the store?
No, I had them here in Florida. And so I started hitting the pavement. I started marketing locally. So they are in the store, okay? They are in the store, and they're doing great up there. And but locally here, I mean, I rolled them out in mid-December, second week in December, and I have 2 accounts in Newport Richey. I'm in Dunedin, Tarpon Springs, Sponge Docks, and Clearwater Beach. And somebody in Puerto Rico just bought a bag today, and she wants to test it, and she's considering carrying. They're up in New Hampshire. So
tell viewers a little bit about that, because I think my generation, the idea of like walking into a business and saying, this is my product, I want it in the store, what does that look like for you, is a little bit scary, right? My generation is scarier of the whole contact face-to-face. Walk me through your first time doing that and what it looked like.
Let's see. Well, the first time we won't talk about, because the first time was just my dog groomer. And so like I kind of had a little relationship with her.
No, but that counts. So, you went to someone in your
yeah.
sphere of influence.
So I basically went in to pick up my dogs, and we were just chit-chatting, and I said, hey, I'm designing this new product, and I think you might be interested. And I said, let me show you. And I had a picture on my phone only. I didn't even have the bag in person, okay?
Oh, wow.
And so I just said, yeah, here it is, and this is what it's going to do, and this is, all the bullet points I went over. And, it's a very thought out bag, even down to the material. I mean, even like people who are these stores who are buying them from me, the business owners, they're like, wow, you really thought this out. And I'm like, yeah, I did. And
yeah, no shit. I don't half-ass my shit, bro.
Exactly. I've been in this arena so long. I know what everybody wants by now. God. But no, I mean, locally, it's not a big deal for me to go in, and you always have to be conscious of people's time, okay? And sometimes you get so excited on the phone and stuff. I mean, I get so excited. That's why I try not to really drink more than 2 cups of coffee, because then I get super, super excited. And like, I'm just like unaware, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And, so I'm more aware now whenever I'm on the phone to ask them, do you have a minute, before I get into it, or can I set up an appointment, or so on and so forth. It's a little bit trickier over the phone, but if you want to grow, you have to be able to do that, right? Because you can't just go walk in everywhere. I actually have more success going in person, and yes. I like it better than talking on the phone, because I just feel like it's so much harder to get the attention. And I don't know, I just, there's something
not
about
only that, we've gotten so far away from in-person interaction like that. That used to be the norm, where you'd walk, if you wanted to do business with someone, you'd go and see them.
Right.
Door-to-door sales used to be the norm. That was okay. Right. People answered their front doors. But now it makes you different.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot different, and it's a lot harder. It's more challenging to have to, do this. So for me to do it, I already told my husband, I'm like, I'm not calling anyone else out of this area until I get my website done. And so I'm actually investing $10,000 in my website. I hired a videographer. He's a videographer, a photographer, and I have somebody designing my new website in Washington State. And all 3 of us are working together to bring that together, because that's a vital part. If you are going to do something like this, that is my store, is my website, literally. Like, that's my showroom that I am going to let people know that, hey, I'm the real deal, and this is a great product. And consumers and even buyers in stores, they're so drawn to, like, photography is everything. I mean, why do you think Amazon has such strict rules on like white backgrounds and, catalog photos and so on and so forth? You have to have that. So my new approach for my new business to market that is I had a nice brochure made. And so I will start going through different areas of the country to market them over the phone, drop them a brochure, and then do a follow-up phone call. And then maybe, did you see my brochure? Did you have a chance to look at the website? So on and so forth, and see what happens.
Will people have the ability to purchase on your website? Because I will say that
Yes.
is something that frustrates me sometimes. Like when I go on Amazon, I don't know why, but lately I've been hyper aware of prices. So I'll go on Amazon and then I'll be like, well, let me see if their prices are lower on their website. And I always try to find, if it's a small business owner selling on Amazon, their website. And a lot of them don't.
Really? I can't believe that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'll go to their website and I'll click on the
Wow.
thing and it'll take me to Amazon.
Wow. That makes like hardly any sense. They're probably, getting traffic to a website is a whole nother thing. Maybe they're doing so well, I guess, with their products on Amazon. And I don't know. That's like kind of crazy. Like right now I do have a website, but so I'm kind of like test the water before we, go big, right? With the $10,000 website. So, I actually put together my website today. And if you
Oh,
looked at
congratulations.
it, well, thank you. But no, if you looked at it, you would be like, yeah, I could tell you put it together. It's good. It's okay.
We won't link it. We won't link it yet.
Yes, no, not yet. We'll link it when we get the big one going. But I'm not a web developer. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to look like that. So that's why I have one now. But so maybe they're I don't know. Maybe even putting a little one together, you have to have some type of knowledge, to just even do a template. So, but I would think everybody would want a website, especially if you're a small business, especially today.
Well, you have to have one today. You have to have one today.
I know.
You absolutely. And it has to be a certain aesthetic, which is so important. It has to be user-friendly. There's so much thought that goes into it.
Exactly.
When we're doing budgets for businesses, I have to remind people that if you are so cost conscious on the first time, what makes you think you're going to be able to afford it a second time when you have to redo it?
Right.
Like, people really need to heed that advice, because if it's not done right the first time, you're gonna have to redo it, and it's almost always going to be the same price, if not more.
Right. It's definitely going to be more. And it's not something, because like when I was talking to some of the web developers, I'm like, okay, well, can we do it for, 6,000 and then like add on, or, and they're like, yeah, no, there's no add on. It's like, you just start from scratch again. And, they're expensive, and like that is actually a pretty good deal, for me to get all of the bells and whistles. And anybody who is out there wanting to do a website, animation is huge right now on websites. I did not realize that. I don't know if you knew that, but in my industry, animation, they're doing so much stuff that, is going to, I'm not
animation and AI.
Yes,
animation
for sure.
and AI.
Yep, yeah,
really
big.
When the bags go in the store, are you negotiating revenue share, or for sales? Does the store get a percentage of something that one of the bags that gets sold? How does that work?
No, I just flat out, I have a set cost that, I have my cost, and then I make my money, and then I'll sell it to them for a discounted rate. So everybody is basically doubling along the way.
Okay, so the store's buying it and they are retaining ownership and reselling it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so they're buying their products at our wholesale, and then, so actually, believe it or not, so this is another thing that a lot of people in the industry, since I've been on both sides of the fence now I get it. But it's like, so when you're the wholesaler, I'm not making as much money as my retailer. the retailer is making double what I'm making, right? Because as the product, starts doubling, of course, they're buying it at a higher cost, but they're selling it at a higher cost as well. So it's like, gosh, it's like, they're making like double money on my product. And,
Well,
here I
you're
am.
dealing in
But
quantity now.
yes, I'm not only that though, I don't have payroll, I don't have rent, I don't have to talk someone into it, I don't have that risk of being stuck with that inventory. Well, I guess I do in a way with my inventory, but I mean, it's a split. It really is an even split. Do you know what I'm trying to say with the money?
#capitalism. Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
but it's interesting how your failure that we spoke about is what inspires you to kind of take a step back and go back to almost where you started, which was an online store.
Yes.
Like you're never going to open up a brick and mortar location where you're selling these bags.
No, no. And I will never open up another brick and mortar just because it's kind of like been there, done that. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
just kind of like one of those bucket list things, Maybe if I was still up in Louisville, I might have opened a second location or a third I don't know. Or I know for sure my little doggy bags, they would have never, that idea would have never even come to me because I would have never really been in that scenario. Yeah, I mean, it did I flipped roles because now, like, I never thought I would be a wholesaler, but, just to have that idea and have all the contacts, that's very important, and being able to execute it out. Yeah.
I mean, that's a perfect example of a pivot.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just is a benefit for me with everything that I did, being able to work with retailers today, because now I have my product and I could go in and say, I've been there, done that, let me help you. Or, like, I can offer them advice on, well, how are you merchandising this? And, are you talking about the bullet points and so on and so forth? And even the merchandising of my product. I mean, a lot of times at Pink Julep, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes we would get just a random product, okay, that we bought, and the merchandising is terrible on it, okay? Like, it doesn't really, I don't know, it could be like, for instance, cocktail infusion kits. So it's a mason jar and it's filled with like all these goodies, like non-GMO sugar, and then it has dried fruits, and you add vodka or your spirit choice, and it infuses within 3 days or whatever. And so it does like all this really cool stuff, but they offer like zero marketing merchandise. And so it's like,
I see what you're saying.
Unless you have somebody standing there all day talking about this product, like either like I have to pay somebody to stand there to tell everybody what it is. So like I learned that. And so now my bags, they all come with a card, and it's attached to every bag, and it tells you all the bullet points and so on and so forth, because not only do I want to be successful selling them to the retailers, I want them to be successful selling my product, because then it comes back to me again. So, I mean, you might as well send it out of the gate prepared and ready to go. And so that was others' failures that I learned on. It's like, the bag has to be explained on, everything that I told you, because the consumers, they hardly, I mean, there's been studies and reports and all of this on how many seconds somebody looks at something, and I mean, all these little things, and consumers are very
We've evolved
finicky.
to have the attention span of a goldfish.
Oh my gosh, do you know how many times they say, I think it's like 6 or 8 times you have to present your business self in front of someone to get you into their mind. That could be like a Facebook post, an Instagram post, a sign on the side of the road, whatever, like 6 different ways that, you're supposed to present to them, marketing ways to get into their head.
To stick, it's insane.
Yeah, exactly. And then once you get in their mind and you're stuck there, then it's a routine. that, like for my store, for instance, okay, yeah, every Friday I'm going to go there, or every time I need a gift or whatever. But then when they start going off the path, the consumer, then that's it. Then you have to start with the six again to get them back in the ring. So it's like
You have to try
crazy.
new approaches because there's new
Yes.
trends. And I mean, it's difficult, but this is why it's so important to have a team around you if it's not something
Mm-hmm.
that you're well versed in, having a marketing team. And so much of
Yes.
this information now is available on things like Instagram. I mean, we talk about it a lot. I mean, you could literally
Mm-hmm.
talk into your phone and it's going to start popping up on your explore page, but
I
you
know.
have branding and marketing is the name of the game, and you can do a lot of
Right.
it yourself, but there's going to come a point
Right.
where you're going to have to educate and invest either in another person or in education, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole different world. I
It
mean,
is.
luckily we
It
live in
is.
an age where AI is available to us, and that's super helpful. But I mean, how the hell do you use that? I mean, these are things we
Right.
have to start considering. Are you okay with people reaching out to you if they have more questions, whether it's about your bag or your business
Yeah.
process or your story in general?
Yeah. Sure. For sure. Yes.
Which
I love
platform
you.
do you prefer?
Well, actually, they could just send me an email, or Instagram, Instagram or Facebook. I'm on everything. They could go to Trendy Dog Mom and send a message through there. Or they could send me an email at lisa@trendydogmom.com. That's another way to reach me.
Awesome. We're going to tag all of those things in our post. You'll be able to view this episode on Spotify, YouTube,
Cool.
Instagram, Facebook. We have a few different ways you can view it, but if you have any questions, Lisa has made herself available to you. And thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry that
Yes.
the last day didn't work out, but it worked out
That's okay.
tonight.
Yes, it sure did. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I mean, it was great talking with you.
Yes. All right, everyone. This was another episode of Failure Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and tag Lisa and all of her contact information if you want to reach out and ask her questions. And stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you. Have a good night.